Look Outreach is underwritten by the generous support of Munter Enterprises. Family owned and operated since 1972, integrity is important, as our family name is on every project. Our word is our bond. Munter Enterprises. Just build it.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, it was 50 years ago today Sgt. Pepper taught the band to play.
Yeah.
Almost right.
Almost. 50 years, and it'll be 144 days on October 17th.
Okay.
I already did the math.
Oh, my God. You're turning into a marketing director. This is Chuck Vosganian, the founder of the Rochmon Record Club. We first talked about Rochmon probably over a year ago, almost 2 years ago. Nobody knew what it was. 3 people went. Now, if you can get in the door, you're lucky. Chuck, I said this in part one of my interview with you. Nice that Rochmon does Dark Side of the Moon. I thought that was great. Thank you for doing Hotel California, Asia by Steely Dan. Sgt. Pepper?
I know.
You're going to take on Sgt. Pepper?
I fought this one. I fought this one hard. But I want to do Beatles albums. I think that because for me they are pivotal in my whole musical education, and they're in my regular listening rotation. I listen to the Beatles all the time, and honestly, I hear the Beatles everywhere. In everybody's music, I hear the Beatles going on. Still very vibrant and alive today in a lot of people's music. And but when the 2017 reissue came out, and I started listening to that whole set and listening to the outtakes and the different takes of the different songs and Giles Martin's brilliant remix.
Oh man,
I said, I have an entry point here.
You know what, Chuck? For our audience's sake, Giles Martin is the son of George Martin, who was the Beatles' producer, and has really taken the mantle of his father, who passed away last year, to really protect the heritage and go inside and uncover these little gems about the wonderful recordings that the Beatles made in that brief decade of the 60s. Yes. Pepper, considered by many to be such a hallmark album that it will live in infamy, it will live forever. Some wonderful stories to be told about this album.
Absolutely fantastic.
Without getting too technical, just want you to know, no technology. Back then. We're talking zero technology. You wanted reverb, you went in the bathroom and hung a microphone in the shower. Okay, this is where we are. They created this masterpiece, and if you listen with headphones, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. They created this masterpiece effectively on 4 channels.
Yes.
Which meant that they had to make some hard decisions.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, they had to decide what instruments they were going to put together. They had to decide how they wanted to orchestrate everything. Because once they filled up 4 tracks, they had to what I would call bounce down, but they had to reduce the reduction. They called it then. They had to reduce those 4 tracks to 1. Then they could record 3 more tracks. Every time they did a reduction, they'd get an increase in noise, a decrease in sound quality. And so they were reticent to do a lot of that. And a lot of the songs were really recorded on 4 tracks only. They would record 3 tracks, they would bounce that down to 1, and then they record the other 3 tracks again and re-record over tape. That would happen a lot. Sometimes they would...
No. I want you to keep talking. This always happens with Chuck and myself. But just to help you a bit, once you commit to taking those 3 tracks and bringing it down to 1 track, you are erasing the 3 tracks you just did. That, in common parlance, means you don't turn around and go back and change anything. There's no oops.
There's no oops.
And then you think about the stereo separation, the orchestrations, the depth of all of the effects that they used on this album, how much genius is involved, not only with the Beatles themselves, but with George Martin and Jeff Emmerich, the engineer.
Yeah. I'm reading a book now, a Jeff Emmerich book about his time with the Beatles.
Here, There, and Everywhere.
Here, There, and Everywhere, yep. My Life Recording the Beatles is a subtitle, and it's really, it's amazing. You know, they invented things that are innocuous today. A DI box, direct injection box, invented in Abbey Road for the Beatles.
That's right.
For the Beatles. And just flanging and double tracking, using different microphones, close miking of drums, the way that drums are recorded, all those things, all that stuff happened because of the Beatles. That's one of the reasons that I say a lot the Beatles could do anything, because they had a team around them that would make their vision come alive.
Now on Sgt. Pepper, of course, it is so multi-layered between the basic composition of the song the orchestrations, and then the sound effects. And a lot of times on Pepper, you can feel and hear the sense of humor of the Beatles.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about the sound effects of the Animal Farm.
Yep.
Before Good Morning, Good Morning.
Yes, yep, yeah. Actually in Good Morning, Good Morning at the end, beginning and the end of
Yes,
Good Morning,
both
Good Morning,
places.
which is sort of a shout out to the Beach Boys.
That's
who
right.
have done that
With
in
Pet Sounds.
Caroline No, I believe is the name of the song.
Yeah, but also Pet Sounds.
And Pet Sound, the Pet Sounds album, yeah, and the.
Each animal
was a threat to the next animal.
Yeah,
in
that's
line,
right.
You know, so it's like, oh my God, and just that kind of funny stuff, and then ending with the
crescendo.
The rooster crowing,
Oh,
and
yes,
then
right.
going into A Day in the Life.
That's right.
I mean, just amazing stuff, and the genius.
Actually,
of
after
all
the
of
rooster
that.
crows, they go into Sgt. Pepper Reprieve. Then they go
Oh,
into Day in a Life.
You're absolutely right.
Yes,
See that?
That's right.
See that?
I got Chuck
You got me.
Vosganian. I got him.
You got me.
The genius of rock history. Thank you, Chuck, for giving me that opportunity. One other quick thing, by the way, when you mentioned benefit of Mr. Kite, they didn't have really synthesizers. They didn't have anything.
Yeah.
So that meant that they went into the sound library, found a Circus Calliope soundtrack record, recorded it, cut the tape up into pieces, put it in a bag, shook the bag, laid out the pieces all over the table, and taped
them back together
each
again.
one back together
Yep.
to make the sound effect track inside
Yes.
that song.
Exactly.
It's unbelievable. Now, you're doing Pepper October 17th.
October 17th at Cafe Lena.
Tuesday, Cafe Lena.
Yep. Doors open at 6:30. We start at 7. Goes to roughly around 9 o'clock. I try to keep it as close to 9 o'clock as possible because it's a school night.
You know, any of
needs to
you
get to
that
work.
know Rochmon, you know that now it's packed. You get there, and obviously for Sgt. Pepper, it'll be up to the ceiling. But get there early. Get there about 6:30. Show your support for this absolutely amazing job that Chuck does. He spends a month researching each one of these projects, and hats off to you for taking this one on.
I have over 300 pictures.
Unbelievable.
So far
I can't
for this one.
wait
It's
for
gonna
this.
be amazing.
Okay,
It's gonna be
Tuesday,
fun.
October 17, 6:30 at Cafe Lena.
I read the news
Great to
today.
see-
Oh boy.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.